Hey everyone, welcome to Clifton, New Jersey with Ladder 2, a 2022 Pierce Aero XT, 100-foot heavy-duty steel aerial. Lieutenant Mark Zidiak, thanks for having us, Lieutenant.
Thanks for coming, appreciate it.
So this is fun. This is the August edition of the Fire and Safety Calendar Shoot for 2024. We're featuring Ladder 2 behind us, which is a 2022 rear mount straight stick. And the interesting thing was this replaces a mid-mount tower ladder.
Correct.
That had to be quite the conversation.
It was a very spirited debate, yeah. We've had a tower in one form or another, rear mount to mid mount, and then to this was a huge change in just thought process. Over the course of 2 to 3 meetings and some very spirited around the kitchen table debate,
That's right.
Each of the pros and cons were weighed out for both, and then we decided on going with the rear mount stick.
Something else you mentioned that stands out to me, especially when we're talking about custom fire apparatus, is the people that are using the apparatus every day this time had a say in the build.
Correct. 90% of the committee was made up of people who ride the apparatus. A lot of the input and how it was designed all came from guys who sit in the back seats.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it worked out well.
That's the way to do it. And there's so many intricacies and nuances as we walk around this truck. So I'm excited to do that.
Yeah.
Why don't we get to it and we'll start walking around and go over the build.
Sounds good.
Great. All right, Lieutenant, so here we are at the front bumper Ladder 2. A lot of things going on here. A lot of times we see this big extended bumper, lots of different things up front. You guys elected to go with a shorter bumper.
Right.
Give me some reasoning behind that.
Well, the old truck we had was 47 feet and change long. A big truck in a big city with tiny streets didn't usually work so well. One of the goals of designing our new ladder was to make it shorter. Clipping the corners, shortening the bumpers, clipping the back corners, keeping it as tight as we can. We have a 39-foot overall length with a truck of about 38. In the tighter urban section of the city, it works fantastic. We can get it down most of the streets where the other truck would have to park on a cross street and we couldn't use it.
Tools mounted on the front bumper.
Our goal was once you get out of the rig, you're out of the rig. You don't have to go back for almost nothing. Everything from your hand tools to your flashlights to your HFTs, your lockout kits, everything like that. Once you put your feet on the street, worst I have to do is reach inside and grab something and I'm going towards my goal. What we decided or tried to figure out was where we lacked capability, and stabilization was a big chunk of that. Adding a winch to this piece and the hitch points around it gave us that ability to put another piece of equipment, the tool in the toolbox, out in the street.
Yeah, the versatility of that, a hitch receiver on each side allows you to work off all 4 sides. Super smart. Let's talk about the tip of the aerial while we're here. Smooth bore, love that. Love seeing it for the penetration and delivery of GPM for sure.
Correct.
And then it's 100 foot and it's pinned back.
Yes.
Interesting conversation about the 100-foot steel aerial. We talked about that and it has to do with the jack spread. Could you give me a little information on that?
For years we were working with an 18-foot jack spread, and some of our biggest streets are only 20-something feet wide. So it didn't give us a lot of leeway as far as where we could place our apparatus. Even the old mid-mount tower where you had to kind of turn it away.
Sure.
So we wanted to reduce that overall footprint. And how do we do that? Well, we figured, let's look at the jack spread. What can we get out of the aerial? Still maintain our 750-pound tip load, still get 1,000 gallons a minute out of it, and still get a 100-foot reach. And we decided on this particular size because we could shrink the outrigger spread to 14, and at short jack we're only 11. So even on our narrowest street, I can still operate this thing off the working side without even a question.
I love it. Well, why don't we work our way around the side and we'll keep going.
Sure.
All right, Lieutenant, so here we are at the chauffeur's seat. When we look at the cab, a lot of times we clutter it. This is kind of scaled back, and it's the simplicity of it makes sense to me. Talk to me about a couple things here.
The whole concept was, again, once we get you out of the rig, we want you to stay out of the rig. There's no reason to in and out and in and out. So even from the driver's perspective, what we did was we took all his controls, 95% of them, and put them down where you can reach them from the ground.
Yes.
So aerial controls, aerial engagement is all down here. Even the cameras, he can hit the camera to see where his outriggers drop on the other side to make sure he's okay before he has to get back in to maybe reposition.
Got it.
So once we position this thing, once he steps out, everything he needs is done from the ground.
No, I love that. That's smart. Let's talk about the cab configuration too. You guys run on paper a 4-man company, but it's a 3-man minimum, typically riding.
Correct. That's 90% of the time.
Right.
Yep.
So let's talk about what you did back here. You do have 2 SCBA seats, fold-down seats, but you have a lot of real estate allowed for storage of turnout gear and
Correct.
equipment. Talk to me about the importance of that.
So one of the things here was to make sure that guys had ample room to be able to put their packs on, grab their tools from in front of them, and not be encumbered by anything getting out of the cab. It was really well designed, and again, by the guys who sit back here. They didn't ask me because I don't sit back here.
I love to, just coming out, the hook and the can is right here.
Correct.
Present, available. So the equipment, again, with the same belief in the driver or the officer, when they get out of the truck, they don't ever have to climb back in.
Correct.
It's the same mindset. Those little things is why you want the people that use the truck on the committee.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now we're starting to talk about the equipment, the story. Early on in the process, how important was it for you and the committee to determine the equipment and the mounting that was going to take place?
Extremely important,
Yes.
because for years it was, okay, here's your truck, fit the crap you got on it on.
Exactly.
And we didn't want to go down that route. We had a very good chief who said, you know what, let's get it done the right way and get it done before it rolls in. Shorter time of preparation and shorter time of training. So we
Yes.
tried to get this thing in service as quick as we could. So a lot of the design happened before it was even built. A couple of our guys got together and just kind of laid out the compartments of what we carried, what we wanted to carry, what we were purchasing, and basically on paper drew the entire truck out as to where things could potentially go.
The truck is laid out smartly. Fire and rescue on this side,
Correct.
extrication on the other side,
Correct.
right? For the different disciplines that you guys do.
Yep.
And so that puts the mindset to the firefighter then knowing where the equipment, at least the side of the truck the equipment's on, that they're going to be going towards.
Correct. And we even went so far as you're working always from the front to the back. The first things you're going to need are closer to where you're getting out. And as the scene progresses or evolves, you can start adding the equipment as you go down the back
Yes.
of the truck.
You know, another thing that strikes me too when we talk about compartmentation is you have to have a good grasp of the equipment you need to carry in order to know how much compartmentation you need.
Right.
And with a true truck like this, it's nice to eliminate the pump and the water tank to be able to have such a large transverse like this.
Correct. We designed it to carry things that maybe we had sitting on a shelf somewhere or on another piece that wasn't first line. So we had the winch put here with our hitch points all
Yes.
around. Now we have that first line out in the field, first response. RIT, obviously very important nowadays. Low, easy to grab, easily identified, grab and go. And then as you go higher, VES for the short ladder for first floor
Yep.
windows, things like that. And then our rescue equipment, Stokes baskets, pre-rigged for the aerial tip with the grab bar,
Yes.
and then just a simple carry basket up there that if we just gotta grab somebody and walk them
Sure.
out, we can throw it out. So it's all preloaded. And right down to your brooms and shovels, which everybody uses. And then we added another winching type system, the grip hoist down here for anything remote, or say where the winch can't get to.
Clifton's a crazy place. Rural, suburban to urban.
Correct.
With major interstates and arteries
Yep.
running throughout.
Correct.
So the amount of potential for auto incidents are huge.
Yeah.
Also, too, cord reels. So you guys do have a generator on board. It's an 8 kW, I believe I read in the spec.
Yeah, we didn't want to waste any space, and we figured instead of putting it in a compartment or burying it up top where we couldn't find it, well, we had this nice little spot above each of the outriggers that they were able to really manufacture that nice little cord reel in there.
And I love how departments group together like-minded equipment. So ventilation, lighting.
Correct.
Makes sense.
Correct. And again, as the incident evolves, then we're getting into the winding down, ventilating.
Sure.
Even something simple as burnt food. Everything we need is right here.
Yes.
And even down to the investigation. When our investigation team comes in, we can light it up and ventilate it for them, so it's a safe working environment. From a rescue perspective, everybody uses hand tools. We do man versus machine, auto extrication, you name it. So what we did was we took all our tool complements when we got this battery power tools, and we turned it into kits. Everything you need with that particular tool is located in that kit. I grab the bag, I go, and everything I need, including the spare battery, so I don't have to keep running back and forth to the rig. And again, our mentality was, once we're out of the truck and we're going towards our goal, we're at our goal.
What I love too is just the simplicity of it, right? So when you talk about kitting, then identifying the kits. These bags are great. Everybody has tool bags these days. What I love is you guys took it one step further. You've taken the nameplate or the discipline of that bag or what's in the bag, and you put it on a removable clip so that if you want to change the bag to something different,
Correct.
all you do is take the clip off and put it on that bag.
That's it.
Super smart, I love it. And then let's talk about bottle storage. So we have our spare CBA cylinders here.
Correct.
I love this cutout, maximizing space, so there's another cylinder sitting below.
Again, we wanted to use every piece of square inch real estate that we could. The ladder company, Ladder 2 specifically, always carried an extra complement.
It's also not unheard of for the truck company to go through 2 or 3 cylinders at a fire.
Correct. And
For
even
sure.
with the airbags and the low pressure
right.
bags and stuff like that, the more air we have, the better off we are.
Yeah. Something interesting that stood out to me too was the diesel and DEF.
Correct.
Something a little bit different. Usually we find them behind one door. So you open it up and they're stacked on top of each other. You got the diesel and the DEF. You guys chose to do something different. Why?
And actually this came from our mechanic. Is there any way we could separate the DEF from the diesel? Just to avoid even giving ourselves the opportunity to make a mistake. And this was the solution they came up with the diesel back here and the DEF there.
I like the two different fills. The other thing too is that DEF always crystallizes.
Correct.
Flakes off. Now you're putting your diesel nozzle in and the stuff's falling right in the tank, right into the neck. And then also, let's talk about this compartment here. Just more storage, rope bags, so on.
Correct. Mass area search rope. One of the things after we had put the truck in service was guys missed the corded bandsaw for man versus machine. Bigger throat versus the battery power tool. And that was just one thing they wanted on there. So we found a spot for it. It's the one corded tool we have.
And then the saw compartment. Everybody that's on a truck company or a ladder company, they love their saw compartment. So let's talk about the mindset here.
Again, so that we don't have to get in and out or up and down on a vehicle at all, what we did was we put a saw up on a turntable so that if you're going off the aerial, you get up there, you're gone. If I'm going off ground ladders, then I'm down here on the ground and here's my saw complement for here.
Well, it makes sense to keep your forcible entry saw down low. You have a roof saw up top, another rotary roof, and then the small chainsaw as well. Smart. And then the blade storage, fluids, and all that. It's the perfect spot right to the ladder way.
That's it.
If you need to go.
If you're going ground ladder to a roof, you're coming to the back, you're here in the back, you're here in the back. You don't have to run up and down the side of the rig.
Awesome. Cameras over the outriggers?
Correct. The driver has the option to hit the camera as he's pulling up to the scene to see where the outrigger is going to drop. Drops a nice little outline for us and allows him to see, okay, there's the car, there's my outline. I got to move left, I got to move right, or I got to move up. He can kind of save a little time pulling up to that scene position as an apparatus.
It can aid in the setup for sure, especially when you get down into your more urban settings like Botany Village and so on, where cars are parked on both sides. You have double parked cars, alleyways, things like that. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's work our way around. I love talking ground ladders.
Sure.
So, Lieutenant, as we know, the ladder company, the truck company's job is ladders, ladders, ladders.
Correct.
How important was the ground ladder complement that you guys needed to get on ladder 2?
Well, we looked at what we had. In a city this size, to only have one large 35 kind of didn't make sense. The other ladder carries a 35, but it's a 3-section, it's heavy, it's cumbersome.
It's a big boy. That's a 3-man raise.
Every time.
Yeah.
We talked to the manufacturers, how can we add more ladders to this? Basically, from the old tower to what we have now, we've doubled our ladder complement. So 2 35s, a 28, a 24, a 20-foot roof, and a 16-foot roof, plus the 14-foot on the aerial.
Yes.
We got ground ladders coming out of everywhere, which is good because prior we only had one 35 to throw. Now we have at least two. If we want to put two in, one way on, one way off type of thing, 2 ways out, we're covered.
But it's simple things too, like the attic ladder. One of the guys mentioned before that instead of a 10-foot attic, you went with a 12-foot.
Right.
In case you have a 10-foot ceiling. Like it's just things like that that the mindset really matters when you're thinking about what you need and want. And you guys are surrounded by other urban departments.
Correct.
Busy departments.
Very,
a lot of fire volume in this area. And so you guys are going to work with this truck. You got to work at the away games too. And so, you know, for the city next door, they're running 4-inch. You got to make sure your adapter's available. I love how it's just here next to your inlet in case their engine company has to feed you.
Correct. Everything is where it needs to be. Instead of having to run around and find it, it's in very close proximity to where it has to be used.
And lastly, it's the little things for me. We do those apparatus innovation videos. No spring clips.
No.
Like, I'm so tired of spring clips and all this gadgetry. This is a simple fold down. You got rubber handles on here. You know what the ladders are. They're marked on the feet and also on the fold down.
Correct.
Smart.
Yep.
Really well done.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see the rest. Let's head down the officer side.
Awesome.
All right, Lieutenant, so we're working our way now around the back. We're coming up the officer side. Something I wanted to point out, the chamfer on the rear, 45, which helps with your turning radius.
Correct.
Especially in those tight streets.
Yeah. I mean, even we have a lot of cul-de-sacs on this side of the city and kind of maneuvering around, angling in, getting the rear end to where we want it to be. The better turn we got, the more versatile this thing becomes. Even taking 12, 16 inches off the back is huge.
And then on the 45, we have the fold down ladderway, which I love. And you have these on both sides. It's not that high of a climb. It's ergonomically correct for the firefighter. It's a low step. So it's easy to do, especially if you do have to bring up some equipment with you. Something that stood out to me and was pointed out to me is your stabilizer control is then behind your steps, right? There was a door on that panel. To enclose it, right?
Correct.
Get the elements off of it.
We noticed everything collects on the back end of a flat back truck. The theory behind putting the door on was let's keep the controls intact and clean and all that. And we just over time, over probably the first 2 months, we realized this isn't going to work. Every time we had the door flip down, it flipped down over the step.
Yeah,
and
right.
when you drop the step, it got hung up on the door, you were tearing it apart anyway.
Right.
2 simple screws, and we solved that problem, and yet we still have all the functionality we need.
I mean, you know, when a 3-man truck company or a ladder company, that chauffeur's got a lot of work to do.
Correct.
The last thing he's going to do is close the little door and do the latch
Take
back
one
on the
step.
stabilizers. That thing's staying open. It's going to be a problem and a hindrance.
Correct.
For sure.
Yep.
On top here on the turntable, we talked about it when we were talking about the saws.
Yes.
You guys do have a roof saw up top, so your roof firefighter has the equipment he needs.
Correct.
At the turntable.
So everything you need to do a roof vent operation from the aerial is on the turntable or better.
I love
so
it.
the only thing I have to climb with or somebody has to climb with is just you. Always moving forward toward your target.
And then we talked about the design of the truck itself. Fire and rescue on the chauffeur side, officer side is more geared towards vehicle extrication.
Correct.
So in the rear compartment, your largest compartment here in the rear, what are we doing here?
To make it more efficient, and the 3-man company, the way we operate is the officer and the backseater, they go for stabilization. They'll grab a set of struts and some chocks, go right to the vehicle, do the scene size ups, and then the driver gets out, comes right back here, grabs 2 tools, walks right up to the scene. By the time we're stabilized, we should be right into cutting. No plugging things in, no starting a generator. It's just ready to rock.
I love that, and it's great. You got a slide out on the bottom, fixed mount on top. You got your spare batteries here, your glass cutter. Really well done. Extinguisher storage.
Correct. We used to have these kind of tucked in compartments a little bit everywhere. They were all over the place. We want to centrally locate or at least group together what remaining extinguishers we had. The manufacturer said, why don't we put them in a wheel well? Okay, and here they are. So dry chem and CO2 right in a wheel well for us.
And then above that, in the smaller compartment here over the wheels, we're doing EMS.
Correct.
And you guys, as a Clifton Fire Department, run 3 ambulances.
Correct. So every rig has a jump bag, a defib. Not that the ladder is the first one out the door for medicals, but we run across them all the time.
Sure.
And again, if companies are out, we'll take it.
Something that just caught my eye real quick. We were talking about the EMS compartment.
Yep.
And then everything's a roll-up except for this compartment.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of common sense these days, you know, that the size of the compartment dictates what kind of door or style
Correct.
you want.
Yeah.
But that was important to you guys.
We were thinking about a roll up here, and then even the salesman and the manufacturer said, well, if you put a roll up here, you're going to lose about 3 to 4 inches at the top of your compartment, plus the roll in the back. And even though it's not big, it's still substantial. Where what are you going to fit in there? Where you'd maximize the compartment with a flip up door. So we relented to it and said, you know what? It's a great idea. Let's put that. It's a small compartment. We striped the edges so we could always see that it's up. We kept it below the scene
Well,
light.
that's it too.
And that way the light still works regardless whether it's
Because a lot of times you'll see a longer strut here where this door will open up to more than a 90
Right.
to allow for the headspace, but with the scene lighting above it.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's talk about what we're doing here.
Again, this side being extrication, this is our cribbing compartment. We have low pressure airbags here, the 3x3 airbags up there. Some step chocks, and all our wooden stuff is tucked into here, nice and low, easy to grab, all labeled. The top shelf rollout, basically what this does, allows us to put some lighter rope bags up top and puts our rope rescue equipment within reach. It's all nicely organized, and again, we went with lighter stuff up top instead of putting the heavy stuff
And you're
up
not
there.
using this every day.
No.
Right.
No.
I love this setup here with your airbag storage. Talk to me a little bit about the mindset behind this.
We tried to get away from that some assembly required mentality. No matter what we use, even if we use it once or twice a year, when we grab it, it's ready to work.
Yes.
It's not, we don't have to sit there on the ground and take 20 minutes while some victim is sitting in a car waiting for us to put stuff together. So the guys came up with this, and it's nothing new. Other cities use it. The old SCBA backpack, cylinder already attached with the regular already attached. So it's grab the pack, grab a hose, grab a bag, and go. And then even down to the struts, this is the first set of struts we usually go for. You grab the struts, you grab your chocks, and you go. So everything in here is designed to just get it out of the compartment and get it to where it's got to go and put it to work.
And the one thing you hit on too that really strikes a chord is ready to go to work.
Correct.
You see departments, they have the airbag kit and all the components and this and that. And for your normal lifts, it should be as simple as run and go.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we used to be. We used to have the Pelican cases with all the nice tools laid out in there.
Right.
We'd have to go, open it up, put everything together, plug it all in, connect everything up, make sure it's all right, and then meanwhile, someone's waiting for us to help.
Right.
We wanted to get away from that.
And it's fun because this committee that was put together are the people that use the truck.
Correct.
Which then tells me you guys took it a couple steps further. Then you started looking at the operation, the strategy and tactics.
Yep.
And you said, we could do that better, we could do that better. So if we're gonna do a new truck, let's look at the equipment.
Correct.
How can we do this better?
Yep. We sat down and asked the question, what do we need to improve on?
Yeah.
What do we have? What do we do okay that maybe we don't have to tweak as much? What can we do better? What can we evolve with to say, okay, we're here, but we want to be here.
Yep.
And that's where a lot of this thought process came into it.
I love it.
Right down to the design.
Cool. Another cord rail here above the stabilizer, and then opposite side of the transverse.
This is where we decided to up our game in stabilization, and for the bigger vehicles and stuff like that, we loaded it up with a set of gold struts here and a high division strut. So our stabilization capability is just exponentially better than it was. Yes, we go to that set of struts first because they're easy, they're a single guy.
Right.
We do have a second set if we have a car on car or multiple cars. Our second set is pretty much ready to go. Tips included, bases right here, grab and go. You're ready to rock.
Yeah.
And then all your bits and pieces are in here for that advanced extrication or that advanced stabilization.
Just a couple other things but before we wrap, right? Painted steel rims. You talked a lot about the mechanic.
Right.
Talk about the importance of involving the mechanic.
He was involved from step one.
That's
and
awesome.
this wasn't his first apparatus either, so he's had a lot of input on it. So the rims, perfect examples. His thought process was every one of the tandem sets on our rig here is the same tire and wheel that every public works garage dump truck has on it.
Yes.
So if I curb a tire where I chunk a rim and I break a rim, I can go down the garage, he can just take one off the shelf and slap it right on.
Yep,
back
and you stay in service. Yep, makes sense. The other thing too, the little things, air conditioning.
Yep.
Important.
Today
you and
especially.
I are out here, it's 95 degrees, we're sweating through our shirts, and you look at that, and that is something of importance that I have found, and we have some apparatus that don't have air conditioners. And those poor guys on those hot days, if we can provide a little bit of a comfort, we need to be doing that.
Traditionally here, we never had air conditioning on our rigs. The people thought it was a luxury, an added expense,
I love that, right.
Something else that was going to break that we'd have to fix in the long run.
Right.
And really not understanding that on a day like today, when you come out of a call, it doesn't even have to be a fire. It could be a CO call or a medical call, and you get back into the rig and it's 108 in the rig because it's sitting in the sun and you're sitting on top of the engine. Even if it brings it down 10 degrees, it's different than out here.
Absolutely.
And it's just that rehab that you need.
We talked about the interior before, and I'm looking around, and behind you, the door, the inside of the door, diamond plate, just built for wear and tear.
That's it, we beat them up. Every surface we could cover or coat to make last a little longer and take the beating, we did.
Perfect.
Diamond plate, solid metal, and it's cleanable, or deconnable too.
Right.
So we can actually, today's day and age,
Wash
wipe it down.
Right,
and,
disinfect.
Yeah, even down to the seats. Every seat is wipeable. We can get the carcinogens off and the soot and the stuff off so that the next run is the clean run.
I love it. Well, I have to say this, thank you. You guys have put together quite a build. I'm looking forward to sitting down with you and starting to get some of the backstory behind the build.
Okay.
Let's wrap at the front bumper. All right, Lieutenant, so we're wrapping at the front bumper. This is a heck of a build. Ladder 2, I'm sure, is a welcomed addition to the Clifton Fire Department.
It is, very much. It's seen more work. It's easier to use. It works great for us.
And it's the partnership behind it too, right?
Yep.
So when we're building custom fire apparatus, as everybody knows that's watching this, it's quite the process.
Yes.
From the beginning to the middle to the end where you are today, putting the wheels on the street.
Yep.
There's a lot of other things that go into it, and a lot of it is the partnership with the dealership itself.
Right from the design phase through the inspection, and we did a lot of the preventative stuff even in that final inspection out in Wisconsin, where we identified things that could be potential problems down the road. And if we solved it, prevented it there, it makes the other PM down the road even easier.
Well, it truly is a partnership.
Yep.
Lieutenant Mark Zidiak, thank you, brother.
No problem, thanks for coming.
What a great project. Partnerships matter, it helps in the build, and it shows today here with Ladder 2. Fire and Safety Services out of New Jersey, the Pierce dealer, put together the 2024 calendar shoot. This is the August 2024 featured apparatus. For more information, check out YouTube and other social media pages, and we'll see you next month for the next featured build, September 2024. And I'm Jeremy, National Fire Radio.